everyone. Welcome to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I'm your host, Rick Becker, and our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Hello there.
And
we're going into a holiday
along.
here.
Yep, tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and we've got a great show. Dr. Scott Atlas, very happy to have him on. I'm just going to have to let him talk, because I know from what I've read, we're going to agree on essentially everything.
I think that's probably true.
I think he says what you and I have been saying, but he says it better and and to a national audience.
And likely more often.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Right. So, and then we'll get off the cuff. I'm curious what you got for me later tonight. Mm-hmm. So first up, I want to talk a little bit about President Biden and oil and what's going on. There's a lot in the news, and of course in North Dakota it makes a big difference to us on what is happening with the price of oil. Mm-hmm. So we've got a few things going on. Pull up our first story. This is from the New York Post. And we see here the headline says, Biden's policies clearly drove gas prices up, but Democrats offer only bogus solutions. Now, let me say that at the outset here, Biden's policies aren't the only thing that caused gas prices to go up. Okay?
He has had some other policies.
Well, he has many policies, but I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there.
Okay.
Gas prices are up not only because of Biden, but because of the release of pent-up demand for gas, for oil products. However, Biden has made it significantly worse and has contributed significantly to the gas prices going up. We always talk about the truth, and so we have to recognize it's not all Biden, but it is reasonably more than his fair share.
Well, the New York Post was all over him, so that was interesting.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
They're not the Times, I realize, but still.
Right, and so what the New York Times is talking about is where Biden has gone to OPEC to increase, to plead with them to increase production so that overall oil production would be increased in the world, something that you would think he is opposed to because he has very actively gone after U.S. production. So it's very odd to me, if you're principled in any way, that you would on one hand say we must at all costs decrease U.S. oil production, but yet, hey, countries that sponsor terrorism, we want you to increase your oil production so that overall we are keeping prices relatively low. Because as we know, Biden stopped the XL pipeline, which tremendously increases the price because you have to transport it by rail. There's a number of other things. Then we're competing with agriculture products that are transported by rail. He also put a moratorium on production of oil on federal lands, the leasing of those federal lands for the purpose of producing oil. And he wants to go after another pipeline. It's in Michigan. It's called the L5.
Right.
So he's doing everything that he can in the U.S. to cause this to be a problem. And then instead of saying, hey, you know what the solution to this problem is? Let's increase domestic production. No, he goes to OPEC, to the Middle East to say, can you increase, please? The next story is on CNN. Here it says, Biden asks the Federal Trade Commission to immediately look into whether illegal conduct is pushing up gas prices.
It's not me.
Right.
It must be somebody else.
Yeah. There's a song. I just thought about this now. Wasn't me, right? I forget who sang it, but one of our viewers can tell us. Wasn't me. So it's very interesting. So he says in this story, a quote anti-consumer behavior by oil and gas companies. So he says there's mounting evidence, and yet he has not given one iota
of evidence.
Not one. And so it's very interesting to just throw out this allegation, not support it in any way, when in fact you know that if you want to find out what the cause for the increased price is, you look in the mirror, President Biden. All right, next story. We have the Wall Street Journal. This is an opinion piece, and it says, no one falls for Biden's gas price blame game. So everyone is recognizing that this whole thing about, hey, we have to get the Federal Trade Commission to look for illegal behavior is bogus. Bogus, bogus, bogus. And basically what they're saying is that the gas prices are largely set by independent franchisees, and it's not some kind of big oil company that's setting your final gas price. You've got state taxes as well. So there's so much more that goes into it. Let's go on to the next one. Now, these last three stories were from, respectively, November 9th, November 17th, November 22nd, so we're rolling along. I'm pulling one in back from May.
Okay.
And because this sort of has an overall look, a 30,000-foot view. Biden has not learned from Obama's policy failures. This is from the Institute for Energy Research. And what this particular article is referencing is, again, the Keystone, the moratorium on new production on federal lands, which, by the way, federal lands, the oil production on federal lands, amounts to 20% of U.S. production, so it's very significant.
That is significant.
But what they are likening Biden's current policies to is what happened in the Obama administration when Biden was part of that administration, in which they gave extensive corporate welfare to green energies,
right,
which is what is in the bipartisan infrastructure deal, which your two North Dakota senators voted in favor of, sadly, at the cost of harming fossil fuel production. So he's playing the same game. It's just at this point now the stakes are a little bit higher, and he is losing.
Well, he's also
big
pandering,
time,
as you say, to that wing of the party that says green. That's what the federal lands is all about. It's the same thing.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, one of the earlier articles from, I believe it was November 9th or November 17th, they're saying that this blame game, it's really bogus. They were saying there's even talk about possibly tapping into our strategic oil reserve in the nation, which would be ridiculous, right? So this is a week to 2 weeks ago that there's this talk that they could be doing this, but it would be so stupid to do. So let's pull up our next story. This is from the Federalist. Biden taps strategic oil reserves 11 months after suspension of oil and gas leases. So yes, indeed. Here we have this administration is tapping into our strategic oil reserve. They're going to be taking 50 million barrels this month, or per month. They're looking at doing it monthly. They are working together with China, India, Japan, South Korea, and the United Kingdom. In the article, it says that there is this move underscores desperation.
Yes.
And they reference his 41% overall aggregate approval rating, which is horribly low.
Awful.
For the first year.
Yeah.
For the first year. That's your honeymoon period. That's your honeymoon
That's when
period.
they still like you usually.
Exactly.
So
and then next up, we've got wonderful from Breitbart, Donald Trump, you know, never at a loss for quotable sayings. And here he is saying that those reserves are meant to be used for emergencies like war and nothing else. He goes on. He's relentless. He talks about Biden being at the mercy of OPEC, which is something that would be antithetical to what Trump was all about with his America First. Last one. We have a press release from the office of the governor, and I'm going to give the governor some props. He says in this article, referencing this 50 million barrels from the strategic petroleum. Wow.
You can say it.
Petroleum. Petroleum. Yeah. Wow.
I've done it.
Becker, listen. Okay, so anyway, he says it's truly baffling. And he goes on to say, quote, now tapping into reserves intended to be used for national emergencies, not to soften the blow of self-inflicted price increases caused by misguided energy policy, end quote. Good job, Governor Burgum. And so here we have, again, it's like a circus act with the Biden administration. Who knows what's going on? Who knows what's driving these ill-advised policies? But
I was just thinking back to when we were energy independent myself.
Yeah, not so long ago.
Yeah, right?
Not so long ago.